Job's not finished. Job finished? I don't think so.
Oh, would you believe it? 100 minutes on the clock!
Tottenham Hotspur might just be the real deal, guys. No Kane, no problem, apparently. For now, at least. Ange and the boys are flying, playing some of the most expansive ball we've seen from Spurs in a long time. Who would have thought that bringing in good people, prioritizing mental health, and fostering squad unity would work wonders? Not me. How did Spurs get themselves into this position? How far can they go? Is Antonio Conte a football terrorist? So many questions. Yo, what is going on, everyone? Really hope you're all doing well. I'm Tinashe, welcome back to the channel. Now, this is obviously a common opinion for most people, but just in case you need confirmation, yes, Antonio Conte is indeed a terrorist. This man really had us all believing that Heung-min Son was finished and that Sarr and Bissouma were both lost causes. Shame on him. On to the topic of the hour. Winning a match after being 1-0 down in the 97th minute is unbelievable. It's a literal smash and grab. But what was actually criminal was the level of time wasting and poor officiating that went on in this one. The football gods really shone through to let sanity prevail in this match. From missed blatant penalty shouts to handing out yellow cards like there's no tomorrow to some of the most egregious time wasting you'll see. What is going on in the VAR room this season? I don't understand. It was such a frustrating match to watch for anyone that isn't a Blades fan, up until the 97th minute, in which case it was frustrating for them too. I'm still not that big of a fan of all the extra time that's added on to all these games, but this match was a really good example for why it's necessary. 16 minutes of extra time was played in this one. That's insane. The game is changing and unfortunately, teams really need to change with it. Ange Postecoglou even admitted to not making subs in the 70th minute, where he really was tempted to, because he knew that there would be at least 10 more minutes of added time. When it came to the actual gameplay, Sheffield never really came to play football, so the fact that they were being dominated all game means very little. The order of the day was defend and frustrate, and they almost got away with it too. It's too bad that this Spurs side really seems to have something going for them right now. The aggression and the willingness to create spaces and attack is something that I think we're probably all going to have to get used to. These guys are relentless. Sheffield went ahead off a long throw. More could have been done to prevent it. Kulusevski allowed it to bounce here, for example, but those happen. Side note, I was watching this match and the Man United match at the same time, missed the delivery, and thought it was a corner. Just like Sheffield, I was also wasting time. Of course, this goal was against the run of play. I might be wrong, but I think it was only their second shot on target in the entire match. But that doesn't matter. The fact that Spurs continued to push on until the very last minute is what we should all be focusing on here. That and Postecoglou's game management. I already mentioned the subs coming late. Brennan Johnson, Ivan Perisic, and Richarlison came on in the 80th minute, and all of them completely changed the game. Funnily enough, they all ended up playing about 26 minutes, so there's that. Johnson was also unlucky not to get a goal on his debut after being found offsides. I think we're all well aware by now that just because these players earn a ton of money doesn't exactly exempt them from living, I guess, a sad existence. You know, the pressure they're under to perform week after week can definitely have a negative impact on their psyche. Richarlison's been pretty open about his struggles with mental health recently, and regardless of what's going on behind closed doors, I'm pretty sure that some of his more forgettable performances aren't helping very much, but seeing him score the equalizer was just great. It was Perisic who swung the corner in for him too. When that winning goal went in, I honestly couldn't remember the last time I heard a roar in a stadium that loud from the TV. The whole place just looked like it popped. The atmosphere must have been crazy. Kulusevski assisted by Richarlison in the 100th minute. Tough. It would have been easy for our supporters to get frustrated, but I do think even when things weren't going to script today and we were 1-0 down, they can see the team trying to play the kind of football they want to see, and I think that helps. Postecoglou had this to say after the match, and yeah, he was right. I mean, there were people that were leaving early on, which is expected given the circumstances, but I'm pretty sure that support had a massive impact on those players that were fighting for 106 minutes. Dejan Kulusevski was one of them. Before this weekend's round of matches, the Premier League released a couple of stats, naming him as the outright leader in terms of distance covered in the entire league. Against Bournemouth, the guy did a casual 13 kilometers. Of course, that's just a snapshot. The entire team seems to be committed to the cause. Coming off the back of last season and the loss of Kane and the fact that there was no time to find a like-for-like replacement, this is a massive testament to Postecoglou's impact on the squad. He was very successful with Australia and Celtic before arriving in London, but there were a lot of naysayers nonetheless, even though his previous tactics were not too much unlike his current ones. Possession-based, building from the back, quick transitions. If we look to who scored for the genesis for their attacks against Sheffield, we see one of the most balanced spreads that's possible. It probably helps that this season they're playing with a complete and competent back line. Udogie, who won the ball back before the winner, Van der Ven and Porro have all transferred in this year, but look like they've been around for ages. Vicario's got some cat-like reflexes to spare and has definitely exceeded my expectations so far. There was a pure reflex save he made from a pretty close shot in the first half that can attest to that. Moving up the pitch, we all know how special Son is, so I don't think I really need to get into it. In their last comeback victory against Burnley, his combinations with Maddison gave us a reminder. 3 of them. As for Maddison, the guy just fits like a glove. Spurs were after him for quite some time, and £40 million later, he was named the Premier League Player of the Month in his first month there. With goals like Spurs' third against Burnley, I can see why. That's that R1 plus circle energy right there. Bissouma, Solomon, Sarr and Kulusevski round off the most recurring midfield so far, and all haven't made any real significant blunders yet. It's a really good moment for Spurs. But there are obvious concerns, let's not all lose track of reality. 5 games in, they sit in second behind City. 13 points is a pretty good haul so far. But the real test is one of consistency. At this same point last year, they had 11 points, and it was only after the 7th game that they took their first loss. At that point, they were tied for second, only 1 point behind league leaders Arsenal. They finished the league in 8th place, 29 points off the top, and also had about 4 managers throughout. Another potentially concerning fact is that Spurs haven't really faced any major challenges yet. None of the teams that they've played so far are even in the top half of the table, with the exception of Brentford, who are 10th. Funnily enough, this is also the only team they've failed to beat so far. Up next are Arsenal away and Liverpool at home, back to back. So let's see where things stand after that. But let's forget about all that and only focus on it when the time comes. The reality of the situation is that Spurs don't actually need to be successful yet. I mean, in my opinion at least. It would be nice, but it's not necessary. Just about their entire team looks different when you compare them to last year, and the average age of the squad, at least in the match against Sheffield, was about 24. And the only player above 27 in that squad was Heung-min Son, at 31 years old. Ange Postecoglou only has 5 Premier League games on his CV so far. What happens when they lose a game or two and clips of Antonio Conte start resurfacing again?
They don't want to play under pressure. They don't want to play under stress. And Tottenham's story is this.
Will they bounce back? Genuinely, I don't know. I'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt though. Based on what we've seen so far, they've earned that, at the very least. And there we have it. Let me know what you guys think about Spurs, one of the most entertaining teams to watch in the league right now. Feel free to follow all the socials, all the links are in the description. That's all for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're having a great day. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.